think that that's a big part of what I have learned through music is to really be present and to really trust the ears and the body to produce the sound, the notes that are being produced. We're not in those spaces. Just using the class as the example right now, there's not a ton of pre-planning that we're doing around, like, I know what the playlist is, but we're not like, I'm not thinking ahead of time of what I'm going to play in those moments along with the playlist and along with the different movements. It really is a trust exercise for me to listen to whoever's teaching, to listen to all the students to see how they're moving and how they're responding, and then to listen to my own intuition.
It is so nice to have you here, Caleb Spaulding. Welcome to Ether's Interviews. And I wanted to have you on to discuss what you do. My first introduction to your work was through the class. And I believe it was Taryn Toomey's class. You guys did a breathwork, live drumming collaboration, 5:00 p.m. in the New York City studio. And breathwork was something new to me. And I remember my first experience with breathwork from what I knew about it. And then when I started to actually do it in the setting I was in, I remember thinking to myself, like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. Okay, I'll do it. In my head, I'm like, okay, I'll do it. And this is weird. And I tried. But it was a whole nother completely unexpected opening type of experience by the end that really blew me away. And I remember telling you that I felt like I somewhat hallucinated and that it was an out-of-body experience. And I'm really not exaggerating, coming from someone that was a skeptic. And it really allowed me to become very quiet and go very deep inside of my own body and really have access to parts that I never had access to before. That's the best way I could describe it. But before we segue into the breath work led by you, there's also a really beautiful class where you play the drums. And I'm just going to show a little excerpt of that.
Cool.
You have to see it.
I love it. I love that you have that prepared.
Yeah, you have to see it because I could explain it all I want, but this is you in the studio of the class, and this is we're doing breath work here.
We'll come in on my cue with that active breath, belly, chest release in 3, 2, 3, 2, 1, and belly, chest release. In, up, out. In, up, out. In, up, out. Belly, chest release. Belly, chest release. Belly, chest release. In, up, out.
I have 3 parts to this question. The first part is you're a trained musician, correct?
Yep.
I'm going to make an assumption, but not just drums, correct?
Correct.
So what do you know how to play? You're a musician.
Yeah, I mean, I've been. I'm gonna have a bit of a longer answer to your short question. I hope that's all right. That we have the time.
Yeah.
I've really been playing music my whole life. Music's been a part of me has been a part of my life since I can remember. Um, Singing was really my early musical expression, and that was kind of around the same time that I learned to talk. It was really like singing was just kind of how I expressed myself.
Hmm.
And I mean, even to this day, like that's in my house with my wife and my dog, like singing is how I love communicating, even just in like the funniest little jokey ways. So that was a big part of my musical upbringing. I took piano lessons for many years, which is a percussive instrument technically. So
And I love that.
yeah, and I feel like that was like the kind of, traditional, at least where I grew up, like everyone was doing like at least trying piano in
Hmm.
elementary school. And then I have a very interesting different path that I took in like late elementary school, early middle school, where I became a professional fifer, which is a 18th century flute, a six-holed wooden flute. And
It's
I was
not
actually
like a Pied Piper type of thing, is it?
ish.
Okay.
It's like that. But basically, I grew up in Southern Virginia, and in Williamsburg, Virginia, I was a reenactor,
Hmm.
um, an 18th century reenactor, where I dressed up in 18th century clothes and paraded around playing the fife. And did that from the time I was in sixth grade professionally until I graduated from high school, and was playing in governor inaugurations, parades around the country. So what's interesting about that is that I was, reading music on a professional level,
And getting
performing
paid?
and getting paid.
Oh, wow.
And I actually attribute that experience to me becoming a drummer because uh, this was to be in this fife and drum corps. My parents actually put me on the waiting list when I was born. It's a very prestigious group to be a part of. And when I got the call,
Are your parents musicians?
my mom is, yes, my mom
Okay.
plays piano and she sings.
Okay.
When I got the call that a space opened up for me, they only had a spot left as a fifer,
Hmm.
and didn't really know anything about fifes at the time. But I, as a you know 9, 10-year-old boy, wanted to bang on things. Drumming sounded more interesting to me, and so I took the opportunity because I knew it was a good opportunity. But simultaneously, I told myself that I was also going to learn drums. And so it was around that time I was in sixth grade, joined band class, um, and they're having us try all the instruments out. And I came to the drums and I was like, this is what I'm going to learn to play. And so I've been playing drums since I was in sixth grade and taught myself a lot of it. A lot of it I'm self taught in. Um, but I've also had many different teachers along the way, from a more traditional setting to a more like traditional Western setting to more traditional like African settings and Afro Caribbean settings. So
I think what's
again,
remarkable about about this part of your story is how music has been a part of you since birth.
I
Please.
think I love that reflection, and I what I would say is that I don't want to take personally necessarily the responsibility of that, but I do think that um, in those moments, especially, I am giving myself permission to
Mhm.
close my eyes and
Mhm.
to just be free.
Mhm.
And I do think that, to your point about trust with your children, uh, I think that that's a big part of what I have learned through music
Mhm.
is to really be present and to really trust the the ears and the body to produce the sound, the notes that are being produced. We're not in those spaces. Just using the class as the example right now, there's not a ton of pre-planning that we're doing around like, I know what the playlist is, but we're not like, I'm not thinking ahead of time of what I'm going to play in those moments
Mhm.
along with the playlist and along with the different movements. It really is a trust exercise for me to listen to whoever's teaching, to listen to all the students to see how they're moving and how they're responding, and then to listen to my own intuition and to my own instrument. So it's such a multi-layered listening practice.
Mhm.
And I really think that that's no secret, but I think that is really the special sauce
Magic.
when it comes to, yeah, when it comes to to being a collaborative musician.
You know, there's a thread with every single person that I've spoken to, as absolutely different as every single person has been, but the thread is you are the creator of your own life and experience. And if one can trust in the ability, what they have been given to create, you, for example, music, there is this beautiful collaborative exchange that comes through in the world, whether it's like how did your collaboration with the class come to be?
Mm. Uh, I met JC almost 10 years ago in 2017 on a um, entrepreneur retreat for wellness leaders, for
Mm-hmm.
people in the wellness industry. And she and I bonded over rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
She
She's
has
a
a
dancer, correct?
Yeah, and
Yeah.
she had a TV show many years ago where she was going around the world learning about different dances of the world.
Mm-hmm.
And when I met her on this trip, I had just returned from Ghana where I was starting my own documentary about drumming around the world. And so we
Wow.
were like, oh, there's this similar, and both dancing and drumming they're so intertwined.
Oh, they're
Um,
married.
yeah, they're one
Yeah.
and the same. And
Yeah.
so I actually just found the email recently. It's funny that you
Oh,
asked me
that's
this
funny.
question where JC was introducing me to the class team, pitching me as a potential collaborator to come in and bring live drumming to the studio in New York. Um, and so we did our first class together in fall 2017.
Speaking about that thread,
Yeah.
I think when you're on your path, the people that you're supposed to meet and collaborate with and work with and it kind of open, they appear on your path when you are trusting and doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Mhm.
And don't you agree that, that choice in the sixth grade to pursue drums was the right path for you and led you
Yeah.
collaborating with the class? And what's the sound school?
Which sound school?
This sound school.
So all of a sudden the rhythm becomes like multidimensional because I just gave you this little melody. These are all sound practitioners. So my
Okay.
friend David, he is a really talented sound practitioner, and he leads the sound school to teach people to lead sound experiences, sound meditation, sound baths. And so that particular video, he had me come in. It's a week long container that he creates. I came in to do a day on rhythm and to just kind of talk about the ins and outs of rhythm as it pertains to being a sound practitioner.
So what is a sound practitioner?
The best, I mean, the most common way that people would probably recognize that position, that the facilitation role would be inside of a sound bath, which
Okay.
sound baths are becoming very well known at this point in
I've never
time.
done one before.
Oh, interesting. Well, that's a whole
Yeah.
other
Yeah.
conversation. We should make that happen.
Yeah.
Um,
Do you do them?
I do,
Okay.
I do.
And you're not
Um,
actually in a bath.
you're not actually great question, and actually and this is partially what David teaches and a few other teachers of mine teach, that the term that most people hear is sound bath.
Mm-hmm.
I hesitate to use that term because it insinuates that it's a passive experience, that
Mm-hmm.
you are being washed over
Mm-hmm.
with sound,
Mm-hmm.
and that does exist, and that is a really beautiful experience. And I think what's really powerful to consider is the idea of a sound meditation,
Mm-hmm.
because that insinuates that there is an active role that you are playing.
Correct.
The sound, the music, the instruments are not doing the thing. The participant is listening and doing inner work and receiving the sound and allowing the sound to be a catalyst for whatever you are working through in that moment.
So in what you're describing, in drumming, in breathwork, in sound baths, and what did you like to call them? You didn't like to call it, you liked to call
Sound meditations.
sound meditation. Within that, uh, does someone need experience with dropping in, and dropping in meaning being able to lay down, just become quiet within your own body? Do you need that experience or not?
No,
Okay,
I don't believe so. I think that there is maybe a misconception that you do need that, and I think
right.
that maybe um, for anyone who hasn't had that experience, I can understand that it feels um, out of reach or unattainable. And I actually would partially attribute that to the fact that a lot of the visual imagery that goes around with sound baths in our society, in the zeitgeist, are people in flowy white clothes
Right.
who are like
Very
at a
zen.
very zen and like at an ashram somewhere in Bali. Like
Right.
that's not necessary. And in fact, a lot of how I like to represent these experiences is from it's from a more, I like to say, rock and roll standpoint, meaning like it can be for the masses. It's
Yeah.
very just like it's sound. It is like it's stillness. It is going within, but that's not, and that there's challenge associated with that, of course, because you are dealing with the mind and what's happening with those inner voices. And with stillness is not easy for everyone, including me. Um, but I think that um, I think there's actually an approachability to this that we can create more ease around. And we can create more
Sure.
ease around these experiences where it can be for everybody. It's just listening. It's just active listening.
I mean, my creating ease around that would just tell people to just try it.
Yeah,
Just
exactly.
try one experience, because from what I've experienced, the facilitators that are providing these environments, these therapeutic environments, where in a fast-paced, 24/7, constant, very rapid world, it's it's a really beautiful way to pause and kind of tap out of that. And my personal experience in the breath work, we do 45 minutes of the class, lay down, usually cover ourselves with a blanket. Room is dimly lit. You're playing the drums, and there's about 5 songs that we go through for about, would you say, 35 minutes?
Yeah, and it actually can be more than 5 songs sometimes. It's more around the timing. So it's around 40 to 45 minutes of breath. Yeah.
And there's about 5 to 6 different songs of breath. And every single time I have gone into the breath work with an intention. And by the time, an intention meaning, I lost my husband in January of last year. So every time I go into the breath work, since I've started it with you, I have used it as a way to find him,
Mm.
to become really quiet and find wherever he is energetically, and just try to tap into that, which is something that I do find very real.
Mm-hmm.
And I do generally find him.
Mm.
in a very peaceful and beautiful way. And then it takes me to whatever challenges I'm facing. I don't specifically focus on finding solutions for problems, but what is created for me in this sort of like turbulent kind of phase in life that I'm in is I find this higher level of peace
Mm.
around the turbulence. And it has become a really meaningful part of my practice for my own mental health and my own kind of clarity. And that can't be something new that you're hearing.
No, I mean, and first of all, I just want to, I really appreciate you sharing that. It's such a touching reflection. Truly, um, and it kind of, not kind of, it reinforces why I do this. You
And
know,
that's why I wanted to talk to you.
yeah, I mean,
Um, I've just found it so helpful for me
yeah,
in such a, sad kind of massive transition in my life. What you offer is extremely therapeutic, and I really just wanted that part of what you do communicated as a means for other people to kind of, find another way to kind of move through these difficult times in life. It's a little more ease and peace.
peace was the word I was going to say. So exactly, I think that breath work is a it's a door into something deeper. Um, and uh, I believe that there is a what I have found from my own experience breathing, not facilitating, but when I do breath work myself as a participant, I tap into a what I would consider pure state of consciousness of just
Mhm.
there's no ego, there's no right, there's no wrong, there's no good, there's no bad, there's no anything. It's just it's everything. There's everything and there's nothing. It's the pure. I wouldn't even. It's not even white because it's not white light because white is a thing. White is a color. White is a thing that you can describe. It is undescribable, in my opinion, in my experience. It's in an undescribable state that I feel is a space of pure consciousness, and sometimes it lasts a split second, but that split second could also feel like 1,000
Correct.
years.
Correct.
And I think that there is something connected to dying that is tied into these experiences where we are um, losing identity. We are no
Mhm.
longer attached to the I. There is a not always, but an ego death is common in these experiences, and I think that from what I'm hearing from your experience, and I've heard many people say this to your point, I felt this myself.
Mhm.
In those moments, I have been able to connect to like the abundance of infinite love in the universe, to
Mhm.
people who have passed, to people who are alive, to gratitude for just being. And so I think when you experience a loss like you have experienced and you do a practice like this, you just like you said, you're able to find a peace and a stillness that it sounds like, and I imagine is harder to find when you are going through the day-to-day life and
Correct.
remembering the actual loss of a physical human being. So yes, I hear this a lot, and I think it's the like I said, it's why I do this. To hear these kind of anecdotes, it's like I think that it is the opportunity to really deepen the human experience.
Well, I always revert back to the first time I did breath work. It was actually on a Zoom. I told you this with Sophia from the class. And I was in my basement. We were on a computer. I had my AirPods in. And I had a preconception that she was going to have a bunch of bowls. So I was wrong, right out of the gate. But at the end of the breath work, my entire body was kind of shaking
Yeah.
and I wasn't cold. And this was before my husband had passed away. But I also was hysterically crying. Very, very, very overwhelmed with emotion. I couldn't tell you the specific reason why. I think I might have in that breathwork session met my grandmother and met myself as a young child, about 6 or 7 years old. I had a really close relationship with my grandmother. And my mother, her daughter, was very physically abusive. And I think in that moment, by like the end of it, it was just this understanding of just kind of hugging her, that small child, and freeing her from, I suppose, the narrative of being something along those lines happened. So, and I bring it up because you can go to a traditional therapist. You could do all sorts of talk therapy, which is wonderful. If anyone going through any sort of personal struggle, please, 1000% go talk to someone about it. But there is this well of information within ourselves that can also be, it's the source of all of it, where it all began. The whole story is in there.
Yeah.
And you can actually have a conversation with yourself
Yes.
in those very quiet moments. And I always seem to come to these, at least one kind of beautiful revelation within those quiet moments that you offer. Which, do you find that, how long have you been doing breathwork drumming for? Well, 2017. So before that, right?
Yeah. Well,
Perhaps.
in about 10 years now, a little over 10 years, in different iterations, I've experimented with a number of different flows
Where did
of
the breathwork aspect of your work come from?
the first experience I had with breathwork was with a friend of mine named Parvati. And this was, I think, 2015, maybe even late 2014. She and I met at a party. We were talking about music, rhythm, breath, movement. She was teaching yoga at the time. And she actually pitched me on bringing drums into her yoga class. And so we started a thing called the heartbeat movement.
Hmm.
And she was guiding more Kundalini based breath work in those spaces. And I was drumming along. Um,
And the
and she,
Kundalini is more of like a sharp, it's a
yeah, it's a
sharp.
right. I mean, it was more like breath of fire, um, other segmented breaths as well, like in for four, out for one,
Mhm.
with different. So there are different patterns and like different mudras that went along with it, like different hand movements and gestures to help like move the breath. And then we added rhythm into that. And it was the first time I saw this power of drums in the world of wellness that like the drums started to unlock something for people. Just kind of
Mhm.
like you touched on this at the beginning of this conversation of like the way that rhythm, especially when you like close your eyes and can go
Mhm.
within, it becomes this kind of guide. It
It
was the
does.
first time I got to see that outside of like a performance space. Obviously, I've seen the power of rhythm and drums when you're at a show and people are
Sure.
dancing, like obviously. Um, so she really was the person who turned me on to this as a possibility, and she really gave me a lot of nudging to start using my voice as well as using the drum. At the time, my facilitation role was just playing
Mm-hmm.
alongside of her,
Mm-hmm.
but she started giving me more and more opportunities to speak and to guide with my voice, and that really set me off. And so from there, I just started playing with other forms of breath work, worked with other teachers, mostly in the capacity of bringing drums into their classes and assisting them. And through assisting and getting my reps in, I began to actually guide. And the current form of what you have experienced in the class with that breathwork flow, I've been guiding for about 3 years now.
Is that rooted in any kind of like traditional aspect, meaning like a culture? Is it rooted in a particular culture?
This particular breathwork is not. I mean,
Okay.
it's kind of in the world of holotropic breath.
And what is the meaning of holotropic breath?
Holotropic breath was developed by Stan Groff and really came after he was doing LSD trials in the 60s. And
Hmm.
when LSD became illegal, he developed this breathwork format to help people reach similar states to those that they would experience with LSD.
At the end of our breath work, after actually during each song, at the end of each song, we do a breath hold.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I kind of like started to do this, but I'll hold my breath longer
Yeah.
than, than, and my body is in like a zero state.
Right. Right.
There's there's no effort.
Right.
I'm not panicked. I'm not looking for like the inhale. I'm not looking for the oxygen. And it could be it's a decent it's like a it's longer than a minute
Yeah.
of being in this particular state and then just letting that breath go. But I really do recommend people trying this just to access these tools that are really built within our systems to
Yeah.
calm ourselves down
Yeah.
and to settle from an elevated state,
Right.
whether it's worry, anger, trauma, like
Right.
whatever those elevated states are, there's actually this beautiful way that you can bring yourself down.
And I'll just add to that. It's you're 100% right, and I would expand upon that to say that you are expanding your window of tolerance,
Mhm.
and by that I mean, we are activating intentionally the sympathetic nervous system, but also the parasympathetic nervous system in these practices.
Can you
And
can you just tell me the difference between the two?
yes, sympathetic is stress. It's like fight or flight.
Okay.
Parasympathetic is where you're more calm.
Okay.
That's where you're.
I'm a newbie. So,
Yeah, no, it's
yeah,
a it's a
yeah.
it's a great question, and I think by doing that, by playing with this activation in a safe space where you're not
Right.
actually, you know, being triggered by a work colleague or by you're not stuck in traffic. There's nothing actually happening in your life other than you laying on a mat and
Right.
changing your breath patterning. We can teach our bodies how to respond to these moments of stress. And
Right.
so we activate, activate, activate. We have these holds, and in those holds, your body starts to find the switch back to
Hmm.
that parasympathetic state.
Hmm.
And what that can do is expand that window of tolerance so that when you are stuck in traffic or you
Right.
are have a deadline at work and you whatever you're having a fight with a significant other, you can, and it takes work. It's not like it
Yeah.
doesn't, it's not a like a snap of the fingers, but you can start to tap into that capacity, that expanded capacity to hold the more stressed out states of mind and be less stressed. So again, that connects back to your point of just like finding more calm in general in one's life.
I think for me, the remarkable thing about the work that I've done with the class, with breath work, and with really with the, I suppose, somatic practices, which were very brand new to me prior to taking the class. Um, but it has really made me a more capable person in any kind of situation. It has just made me more clear headed, calm. 100% of the time, no, but like 80% of the time, yeah. Very clear headed, and the ability to, I suppose, grace under fire,
Mm.
to exhibit that more in a very real way where life is volatile. And we have periods of serenity and we have periods of complete upheaval and chaos. And these are just incredible, readily available tools. They're not new. I mean, they're fairly new to me in the big scheme of things. They've probably been around for thousands of years. Breath, just learning how to breathe,
Yep.
that was new to me. I didn't know that
Yep.
was a tool.
Yeah.
I just thought it was something we automatically did for
Yeah.
oxygen.
There's a lot of power to it. I mean, there's a book that I recommend to everyone. It's called Breath by James Nestor, and it's not just about breath work. It's exactly like what you're talking about. It's about being a human being and how we breathe, how our breathing has changed, why breathing in certain ways is important. And it is a fascinating book. It's so good. And
What's the name
um,
of it again?
Breath,
By who?
James Nestor.
Um, I want to just show you what's the love camp?
Mm. Love Camp is a an experience that a friend of mine created. His name's Colin O'Brady. He just returned about a week ago from Antarctica, where he was walking across the continent for the last 100 days.
Wow.
And he actually, funny enough, I met him on the exact same trip where I met JC in
Oh, that's
2017.
isn't that interesting?
So great
Wait, all
connection.
those years ago?
Yeah.
Okay.
So the idea with Love Camp was to prepare him for his trip across Antarctica. And the thesis was that um, obviously he could do all the physical training in the world. Like it's a very physical and mental exercise to do such a thing, such a intense feat. He's done these types of adventures before. He's walked across Antarctica before, not as for as long of a period of time, but what he has found is that by tapping into infinite love, he's able to do anything. Like infinite love is the greatest um, catalyst, the greatest tool, the greatest fuel to complete a thing. And so Love Camp was created this earlier this fall to prepare him for this trip. And he brought together over the course of, I believe it was like 5 weeks, um, a group of friends, and that included facilitators and doctors and um, coaches and all these different people to bring their own gifts into Love Camp to fuel him up, to create a an abundance, a very full fuel tank of love, so that he could
Interesting.
take it with him to Antarctica and complete this mission. So this picture right here that you're showing is me leading breathwork at Love Camp.
Where is it?
It was in Oregon
Okay.
on the Pacific.
Oh yeah, duh. It says
On the
Bandon,
Pacific
Oregon on
Northwest.
the top.
Exactly. Right on the coast, on the Pacific coast.
God, it looks beautiful.
It was really special.
And you were hired to come in and facilitate the quiet, the breath work, the drumming, the rhythm, that type of aspect of it.
Correct, but I'll make the distinction that I wasn't hired. It was really like the whole, and I think it's important to make that distinction because it really was about exchanging
Got it.
of the energy of
Each other.
of our gifts and each other,
Yep.
right? And so everyone who was invited,
God, that's beautiful.
yeah, right. It's
Holy cow.
stunning.
No, I mean the whole concept of what you're talking about.
Oh yes,
is
that's
just, I mean,
yeah.
yes, it's gorgeous.
Yes,
But the whole concept of what you're talking about, a group of peers coming together to exchange their gifts and exchange their love in support of this person on this long, arduous task ahead of this person.
right.
And if I'm not mistaken, did he not have a very big accident not too long ago?
He did. I mean, he's had a number of physical, I guess, events, all the things that have been challenging. The last time he went to Antarctica, which was I think 2 or 3 years ago, he did have an accident where he fell into a crevasse
Okay.
while trying to make it to the South Pole quicker than anyone had ever made it, which did cut that trip short. So yes, yeah.
I do have a little bit of a game to play with you, but just
I love it.
just to finish on the topic of love, everyone always asks me how my kids are or how we're doing. And I always say, like, it's always been my answer kind of from the beginning. And that's that along with my husband, there's always been a lot of love in the house. And there was never a shortage of love exchanged. It was just something that always kind of happened, love and support. And so whenever anyone asks me how I am, I just always kind of say, well, we have a lot of love, and I really do believe that love saves the day, and staying rooted in obviously my love for my children will carry me through, whatever lies ahead. Oh, don't look. Guess who? Guess who's
Hello,
here?
Wow, what a surprise.
So
Caleb.
our surprise guest is
Wow.
Caleb. Who is this?
Soraya, what's up?
How are you?
I'm so good.
Soraya Wilson. Welcome back to.
Thank you.
Welcome back to Inter Ethers Interviews. And I just actually recently did your class together. I did it online in my house. I couldn't come in. I don't remember why, but I had to do something. And it was a class I really wanted to take. I was like, oh, that's a good one. And I usually venture out into the city to come for those special classes because they are so special. But I ended up doing it Monday morning, the Sunday after, or Monday afternoon, and my body needed it. My heart needed it. I was depleted. And going into Soraya's class, followed by your very meaningful drumming and breath work, it got me out of the cage. of, kind of like the heaviness that I was feeling over the weekend. Like that entire weekend was pretty heavy for me and it just kind of broke me out. So when you guys do a class together, do you send him like your playlist?
It's a little, yes, I think we've done it both ways. I think the first time that Caleb and I collabed, um, I think we created a collab playlist and we kind of like played off each other. I think I maybe put some songs in and then you put some songs in. The last couple times, Caleb has sent me a playlist and I've had the real privilege of being able to kind of
Oh,
see
wow.
see into where he's gonna go.
Yeah.
The structure's always the same. We'll do the class for 45 minutes, then we go into Caleb's breathwork and drumming. And I mean, Caleb drums the whole time. We can't forget to mention that what an athletic beast he is
It's
for 90
beautiful.
minutes, right? He drums the
It's
whole time. And then we'll go into the breath work, which is 45 minutes. So I get to peek into his process a little bit and see where he is. And we also, forgive me, you might hear dogs barking. We also always have, kind of a touch point, whether it's a text or a conversation beforehand. That's like, where have you been? What are you feeling? What's going on? And kind of like a theme, loose theme maybe, but it's usually a like present day. How's it happening for you, and what do we want to bring into the space as we move energy in the ways that we do?
how many people would you say in that breathwork class are new to breathwork and drumming?
Well, breathwork and drumming, I would say almost 100% are new.
Oh, really?
Well, it's just like that combination, I think, is fairly unique. But breathwork in general, I don't know, probably half typically.
Yeah, I'd say about 50-50. We
Yeah.
also have this rare number always in these classes, which I think is amazing, of people that are experiencing
The whole
everything,
thing.
the whole thing for the first time ever, which is mind blowing.
Mind blowing.
And for
Totally.
those like first timers, do you have a perception of if they are like receiving it?
Oh yeah, Caleb, I'd be interested to hear your take because I definitely have a way of kind of reading the energy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I love that question. I think that especially in that room, you can really tell. It's so, and everyone experiences breath work differently. Like there are some people who don't move a muscle, but are actually like blasting off, and there are other people who are more somatic and allow themselves to kind of like shake. And I think it's an allowance thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a permission. The more you do it, the more you have that permission. And I think this is why doing it with the class is so important, because the class helps give people the permission to open up and move, period. That's just the class. And then when you already have that pump primed and you add in the breath work, there is a little bit more freedom to move and to let whatever is coming through come through. But I would say I can usually tell by their presence. And, if people are like drinking water and like getting up, that's kind of the telltale sign that they're not receiving it.
Yeah.
That's been my opinion. But I don't think I've ever really seen that happen in our shared space. I think if they're in that room, they're in the,
Right. Right.
Yeah.
And Soraya, what benefits have you received from like drumming and breath work? Like in your own experience
gosh.
taking classes like that?
Yeah. I remember just being a teacher right before we kind of embarked on this partnership. I mean, you do this collab with a lot of our teachers. I think the inauguration was you and JC, and that was such a potent class. That's the first time I remember experiencing
Oh, that's
your
the first class
your
I took
drumming.
online.
Yeah, they were a duo for a long time, and then
And that
JC
was
left
it.
New
I was like,
York.
oh, I'm done. Yep. Sign
Exactly.
me
she
up.
left us.
And then JC left New York, and we had to figure out a fair replacement for her, which I mean, all of our teachers are. So I mean, JC's one of a kind. But anyways, I ramble. I got to experience Caleb in a class setting, which, breath work for me, oh, it's hard. It's really, really hard um, to stay in it presence wise. I mean, physically, this is no secret. I like to partake in a little smoking of the marijuana. And I definitely feel sometimes those constrictions when I'm doing it, but
As far as breath?
not breath. Yeah. Like, and I don't know if maybe it's in my head, right? Maybe that story is getting created in my physical body
You
because I'm
mean taking a deep breath?
uncomfortable taking a deep breath and
Okay,
being in the pattern for that long. Like
got it.
it almost feels like the breath, and this is a natural, I think, a natural symptom perhaps of the
Right.
right. You at times, depending on how fast you're going, may feel breathless at times. And I think the story I have going in my head is like, oh, this happens to me more often or more
Yeah.
frequently because of day to day habits. But anyways, Caleb, like what you do is so magical, and that almost feels like a trite word to use for it, but combined with like your education and your talent and your just innate pure clear channel of intuition. I mean, it's the perfect, that's the breath, right? And then you get the percussion involved, and then we talk about like the which I'm sure you have in this conversation, right? The root of the drum and where it comes from, and kind of the lineage and the history of it, and why when we hear percussion it like
Mhm.
right straight to your heart, your gut, your mind. It's like you feel it in your whole body. um, so my dancer, my past life as a dancer, specifically with Alvin Ailey, being able to be in a room where it is just the djembe, right? Where it is just the body and the drum, and to feel that beat. I mean, so much of what Caleb does takes me back to that place. I really feel my like dancer roots come through. If I close my eyes, we're just in an African dance class, right? And if I go even further with the breath work, in a lot of ways I get to like go back to my lineage, right? Like I
Mm,
really feel, I posted something recently that was like, if the universe is asking you to walk alone, know that you have the power of 5,000, 50,000 ancestors behind you, right? Your generations, your lineage supporting you. And that is like what comes to mind immediately when I think of that gift that you have, Kayla, which is so pure and so potent. And anyone that has sat in the space with us both, and even with Caleb, I've had many people that are like, I've never taken your class before, but I know him and I love
mhm,
him.
mhm.
And I put my stamp on approval of anyone that's willing to be in collaboration with him, which is such a, that in and of itself, right, is a telltale sign, I think, of the potency and the richness that people get to receive from the offering. So, I mean, I feel it's magic, it's psychedelic, it's
Right.
vulnerable, right? It's hard, but it's
Yeah.
so beautiful if you can allow yourself to give in just that much, to trust that just that much, right? To be held just that much, because it's really a insane amount of space holding that you do in the like clearest way.
Mm,
Well, music is, it's the portal.
Mm-hmm.
It really is the portal, one of the portals to yourself. When you were talking about dancing, I was a dancer. I danced when I was younger. Caleb and I were talking about my mother being very abusive, and when I danced, I didn't realize it at the time, but I was releasing
Mm-hmm.
or expressing or moving some kind of whatever I was feeling inside of my body.
Mm-hmm.
And dancing and drumming has been around in the human existence since the beginning of time
yeah.
as celebratory or worshiping or
Mm-hmm.
praising or
Or
giving
grief.
thanks or
And say
grief,
grief
Yeah,
circles, right?
totally.
Yeah.
all of it. So just to really have that, Caleb and I were talking about these things as therapeutic practices where you could
Absolutely.
just tap into your own self, which is a
Mm-hmm.
really beautiful thing to do. And what you're creating is these sort of celebratory circles or grief circles or joy pockets or, in community with, you open your eyes and there's 40 people in the room,
Yeah.
plus you two. And it
Yeah.
just becomes this communal, beautiful kind of share,
Yeah.
similar to your love camp in a way, without the, specific people that were coming for a specific purpose.
Totally. Well, I think like, and this is where I think we were going right as Soraya came on, is like this idea of love can be the fuel. And I have found that the more allow myself to trust the love in my life as like the I got you, the more I feel the permission to go out into the world. It's like the hero's journey every single day, knowing that the home that I come back to is love.
Yeah.
And I think that I find that every time that I get to collaborate with Soraya or with any of the other class teachers, like that is a container of love, is how I experience it. That's how I guide and think about breath work. And I think it's like all of these different spaces and circles and iterations. It's like, this is just one way to do it. But if we can find a space, an opportunity to use love as a fuel to do the thing that we're trying to do, I think that we can like solve anything. Like
I couldn't agree more. And when you said that the home that you return to is love, it just made me think that, the home being our individual bodies. And I have learned, if it's one thing I've learned through these practices, it's how to love myself. And I think within the body of your home, if you can love yourself, there is a greater capacity to love the people that are close in your life and everybody else. And then life moves, within where one goes with a little bit more ease, less judgment, less harshness, more acceptance. And it's it is all about love. And I think we've been, we all kind of like listen to the similar people in similar circles. Everybody's talking about love, and it's I think let's just make it a movement, like just really a love movement.
Yeah.
Love yourself.
Caleb for president, 2028.
Caleb, do you want to be president?
Some missions we do not want, but
That's
they are
true.
given.
That's true. That seems like a big reach for me, but I'm humbled and flattered.
I would actually pay lots of money to see you take some kind of political seat.
Ironically, I was a political science major in college, so
Amazing.
the seeds have already been planted. Oh my
I
gosh.
think I'm gonna close out with my age-old question, and Soraya, you could answer it again, and I'll give my answer. But Caleb, what's the meaning of life?
I think it's to practice unconditional love.
Apply all.
Yeah.
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 Soraya?
I'm gonna echo that. I'm gonna say to be able to access and practice and receive unconditional love.
I'm gonna ditto that as well and say give and receive unconditional love. I want to thank you both for coming on. Caleb, it's been such an honor being able to sit down and talk to you. Prior to taking the class, I didn't really know you. You've been such a gracious person every time I'm in the room. even when I'm not in the room, you're just a very gracious, you give a lot of love, you give a lot of guidance, all your resources, you give very generously. And I'm really honored to be in your presence, Soraya. You know I love you to the moon and back,
Thanks for
brother.
letting me crash your party and sing my praises and get to talk about our process a little bit.
Epic
Yeah, and I
surprise.
just, the really the goal of speaking to both of you is really just to showcase your talents, what you do, and what you give and add to the world. Each of you, it's your contributions to the world are really quite beautiful. You both facilitate healing in people, and for me, that healing has just allowed me to soften around anything that I've been through and approach life, my children, my life, whatever I want to do, with more of an open heart. So you guys are healers and heart openers, and I care and love you both very, very, very much. And thank you for being on Interethers interviews.
Thank you for having me and for all the amazing things that you've said and shared. And the space is so appreciated. And to share it with Soraya too, like
Oh
it
yeah.
brightens my day even more.
Yeah, it's my new thing to have a surprise guest. And Soraya was game. I was like, I
I
just
love
asked her
it.
on Friday, I was thinking of who it could be. Caleb, you're on the West Coast?
No, I'm in Brooklyn.
No,
Oh,
he's
you
here.
are.
Oh
Oh,
yeah,
wow. Wait, how long are you here for?
I live here.
He
You live
lives
in
here.
Brooklyn.
Yeah,
Oh, I did not know that. I thought you were a West Coaster.
no way.
Oh, wow. When's your next class?
I don't know. We don't have one scheduled as of this moment, as of
I'm
Oh,
this
like,
recording.
wait.
don't quote me on this, but if you're around, I'm planting some seeds. I'd love to have you. You probably edit this out, but I'd love to have you join our 1 day retreatment on March 22nd, if that's a thing
Uh,
for you.
I'm
But
if
I'm
Can I get on the early
the early
selection?
list. You're signed up. You're signed up. I'm putting your name down.
I mean I
Are you
We're in the
once
doing
throes
one?
of planning. We're in the throes of planning and thinking about what that might look like. So, yeah,
Keep
let's
me
talk
posted.
offline.
Keep me
I love
posted.
that.
I love you guys
Y'all
so
are the
much.
best.
Have a beautiful
Lots of
day.
love.
Thank you for being here and lots of love.
Bye
Bye,
y'all.
Bye.
everybody.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye.